under the subjective test, that each have the required intent.
So, like, for example, the objective would be, like, you come extremely close to doing it, like the book said, in arson, you pour, like, the gas all over, where the subjective test would be more like, the intent. And if you go there with a can, but you never do, you stop and you never do, well, you get arrested before you do anything with it. That would be like the difference.
So the objective test, we look at the act and whether it comes very close to carrying the crime out. Subjective test, we just need an act that can persuade us that the individual has the requisite intent. So the objective test gives someone a chance to change their mind. Subjective test was saying once they have the intent, they're probably going to carry it out. They don't want to wait beyond that point. So in this case, so that those are the two tests. So first question is whether we have an act that satisfies those two. And what is the intent that you need? What is the intent that you're going to need?
He was about to pull the trigger.
Okay, so why is that important?
Because, I mean, this is outside of hunting season, and you would not be outside hunting season, he would have done it. And
Okay,
if
but
he was
what does
done,
my intent have to be for an intent?
His intent is to kill the deer,
yeah,
and so
Okay, so more specifically, I want to kill the deer. Is that
Outside of hunting season.
outside of hunting season? That's kind of a fact that it's important for our intent. So I want to kill a deer outside of hunting season. So what specifically is the intent requirement?
To want to carry out that crime, to take steps forward instead of letting that crime become really close to committing it, which he did when he was aiming and right before he pulled the trigger, police officer got him.
Okay, so we have an act that comes very close to completing the crime, but that's the act. And you said the intent is to accomplish the crime,
Right.
and there's also another intent that's involved.
well, he has the rifle with him, so his intent is clear that he's looking to use it. And that like shows that he's going to use it on the deer, and he points it at the deer. So like the pointing of it at the deer is like clarifying his intent.
So we have to have the intent to undertake a substantial step towards the completion of the crime and the intent to complete the crime. So we need both of these aspects. But what else is involved in this question that makes it complicated?
the criminal.
Thanks, Anita.
You never fired a gun. You know,
Right.
see the process of pulling the trigger, but
You have to pull the trigger for it to be an attempt.
I think so. You know, I think a bullet has to come out of the gun. It doesn't say it's legal to swing a gun and pull the trigger. You know, so I think that the fact that he never actually pulled the trigger makes the act, negates the act, it's the intent before we.
Okay, remember, there's two approaches towards the act requirement. One is merely enough, an act that's sufficient for us to conclude the person has the intent. So that's not a very, you don't have to go very far for us to be persuaded of that. The objective test, you have to go right up to the edge of completing the crime. So would you still say that you wouldn't have an intent because he hasn't fired or she hasn't fired?
I guess if it's up to the point of committing the crime.
We can have a complete attempt, which is I pull the trigger and miss, but an attempt is something very short of completing the crime. The question is where we draw that line. And there's another issue here. What is nobody mentioned?
He assumed the aiming position in order to take down the deer. He assume a stance and then that position.
Yeah.
It's a mechanical deer, so it's not a real deer.
Is that important, this mechanical
Yeah,
deer?
Yeah.
because it's not, he's not intending to kill a deer. He's intending,
He didn't know.
He didn't know it was fake.
But also they say that they want to, stamp out the money, but it's not like set in stone that maybe he didn't know, like, I don't know.
He didn't know.
Like it says they want, the local authorities want to stamp out the hunting. They haven't officially signed. So maybe he didn't.
So is that not an attempt because it's a mechanical deer, is that the conclusion?
No, it's like the case where the guy tried to kill Bill Clinton, but he only attempted to kill, I mean, he didn't know it, but he attempted to kill the security guard, whoever it was, the Secret Service guy, but he was still guilty of trying to assassinate the
Okay,
president.
so what is this called? When we say it doesn't matter that it's a mechanical deer, what is this called? What's the name of this that we're talking about? Oh, not yet.
Maximum possibility.
It has a name.
Maximum possibility.
Okay, so it's factually impossible to kill a deer, but it doesn't matter, because you have the intent and you have the act. Legal impossibility is always a defense, never factual possibility. Okay, so now we have two other sections here. They kind of go together.
What if H raised and aimed the gun and then, feeling sorry for the deer, intentionally fired over the deer's head? Would this make him guilty of an attempt? And that's what you were talking about.
Abandonment?
Okay, so what is the law for an abandonment? He's completed, or she's completed an attempt. We already said there was an attempt here.
They will be guilty of an attempt.
What if they feel sorry for the deer? Does that make a difference?
Yes.
Takes away the intent to kill the deer. So
Change,
since you need both the intent and act to have the
But he still fired over his head.
And he did it like willingly. He didn't have, like in the one case where we said the guy was gonna like rape the woman, but she said her daughter was coming home, so that possibly influenced him. But here, you know, he just did it on his own merit and drawn out, even though he had already
in the case in the book, he doesn't rape the woman because she says her daughter's coming home. Although they said that was, so what is this called that we're talking about here?
It's internal or enunciation.
Enunciation or abandonment? And so what is the rule?
You have to completely.
What, does it make a difference that he fired the gun? What if he said, I want to kill the deer and missed, as opposed to what these facts say, he or she felt sorry? That can be different. Is that significant?
Well, if he felt sorry, why he still shot at the deer over the head?
Well, it does seem a bit crazy, but maybe at the last minute it just does that make a difference that he says he felt sorry, he or she felt sorry for the deer?
It does make a difference, but I say that he will be guilty of an attempt because he did not completely and voluntarily renounce his criminal purpose.
Can you repeat what you say you did completely and voluntarily?
Renounce his
Okay,
criminal purpose.
why would you say that?
Because he felt sorry, but he still shot the deer over the head. You know, he did not completely I feel sorry, I dropped my gun. He didn't do that, you know? So that's why I think he will be guilty of an attempt.
Okay, you said,
Can you say that one more time?
Well, the definition of abandonment is that when an individual who completely and voluntarily renounces his or her criminal purpose is not liable for an attempt.
Okay. And what did you say your reasoning was?
The fact that he, even though he felt sorry, he still shot over the deer's head. He did not completely.
But I thought that what I read was he shot over the head to miss the deer. I mean, he could have clearly aimed it right at the deer, but he shot out of over the head.
But why couldn't
To
he
miss
just
the
drop
deer.
the gun?
I mean, why he's like, shot over to aim not to miss the deer? What if he was in the middle of it and he let it go already and he made it slightly go up instead of dropping the gun? Dropping the gun could have hit the deer as well. So I think that he did voluntarily and intentionally because he intentionally shot over the deer's head to miss the deer, and he renounced his
Criminal purpose.
by feeling sorry for him. So
Okay.
I don't know which one is right.
I think that like, just the feeling sorry for it, that takes away the intent of killing a deer, because he intends to miss on the deer. So if he's performing the act of missing, that's different than like shooting at the deer and missing, because like, he's not shooting at the deer.
So he could have hit the deer if he wanted to, presumably, or she could have,
Right,
but deliberately or intentionally did not.
right, and then he changed his intent, he wanted to miss it, and that's what he did, so.
It
Okay.
sounds to me that we got a burly guy here, because he just wanted to fire that gun or something. So he just, well, I'm already in the stance. I'm gonna shoot anyway, but I won't hit the deer.
Okay, so how is C different?
The police.
Why does that influence?
He didn't voluntarily abandon, it was not a police officer that made him abandon.
So in this case, it wasn't voluntary because the police officer. So that wouldn't be abandonment? Because it was done in reaction to what they call an extraneous, E-X-T-R-A-N-E-O-U-S factor. Okay, so that is number 2.
Yeah. So the first part of number 3, number A, make sure that you answer both. Is X guilty of the forgery and is X guilty of